That's right.
Okay, welcome everybody. I am so excited today to present to you guys our amazing, amazing president and friend, Mr. Dave Conord. Welcome. Yay.
Good.
Thank you
How
for
you
being
doing,
here.
Tina? Hey, everybody.
Hey. So I feel like this is so great because a lot of our group obviously, has never met you. They know about you, but I think you have such a great, diverse history in leadership, and we're all about leadership here, and how we can take our businesses to the next level, as well as becoming leaders, right? And really helping each other in the agent community grow. So if you could share, because I'll probably mess it up, your background, your history of when you were an agent, and then all the way through to owning all the KWs and the regions and all that stuff. And then I've got some questions that I know our agents are dying to know.
Cool. All right. Yeah, happy to. Thank you. Just quick show of hands. How many people like decided like right from the beginning, get go, either in college or right out of college, that you like, or as a kid, you wanted to be in real estate? Anybody like knew real estate was your path? That's awesome. So yeah, there's a Kenny Chesney song, "We're All Here." All right, you guys may know that song. I love that song. I feel like that's kind of real estate. This is where we all roll. Eventually, we find our way here. Real estate can be kind of the land of the misfit toys, if you will, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's such a cool industry, and it seems like all paths kind of lead here at some point. I know people that have, they've lost their jobs, right? And their career was over. They got the company downsized or whatever. And they were like, I don't, nobody's hiring right now. The economy's bad. I guess I'll get my real estate license. I'm not making any money anyway, right? there's one path. There's others who were highly successful and made a ton of money and said, I'm going to invest in real estate. I'm going to take some of my money. I'm going to invest in real estate. And they're like, man, I really like real estate. This is super fun. And everywhere in between. And then they built a business out of that. So, I graduated college with an international business degree. I was in international telecommunications, a lot of fun building businesses. I worked with entrepreneurs and some pretty large multinational corporations I was Europe, Africa, South America. So I got a chance to go all over the place and work with other people building their businesses. At the same time, I had a bunch of engineers. There were former Westinghouse engineers that started their own company, and they were all really awesome, but they were all engineers. They couldn't sell anything. So they had all these cool products and all these cool ideas, and they couldn't sell it. And I spoke a couple languages and had a sales, behavioral style, if you will. And so they couldn't really afford anything yet because they'd invested all their money in buying switching platforms and stuff. So they paid me dirt and promised me a big bonus. And we went out and built the business pretty big, and it was fun. We opened up in 17 countries in 3 years, which was pretty wild, and ended up buying a bunch of switching platforms and that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun, and they ended up making a lot of money. So I watched these guys, start buying nice cars. They would roll into, they traded in their, 1984 Honda Civic for, a brand new fully loaded Escalade, that kind of stuff. And it was great. So at the end of the year, I got a $50,000 bonus. Now these guys were making millions at this point, right? And I got a $50,000 bonus at the end of the year. Now I wasn't mad at them. I got, what, and then more than I was promised, right? They did good by me. They took care of me. I was happy for them. But I looked at it and said, man, I got to sit on that side of the table, right? It's like, wait a minute, I'm working and I'm doing all this stuff, and, they've earned it from what they built and everything else. But man, if I could get on the other side of the table, I could make a lot more money. And so I went into real estate where everybody makes a ton of money, right?
Exactly. We're all loaded.
Right? Everybody's rich in real estate. So that was kind of my path into the sales side. And, and I took kind of that same, kind of work ethic and sense of we have to go build it, that sense of urgency. And I did have a sense of urgency because I was married at the time and having kids, which is part of my reason to get into what I thought was going to be a more normal schedule. Yeah, I had lots of misconceptions getting into real estate, but I was in my 20s, so I didn't know any better. Make a lot of money and totally easy schedule. It was like a dream. So getting into sales, but I was able to, I sold 17 million in my first year. I was like 26. And we grew that up pretty big. And I was just me and an assistant. I did hire an assistant to kind of go through that. I was doing about 100 to 120 units a year, single family homes. And then I started getting into development work. So I started looking at property, some land and that kind of stuff. And then eventually was, hey, we should have a brokerage. And so that's when I started looking into brokerage opportunities. And I ran into someone who was just looking at getting into business with a small company called Keller Williams. And they were a small company back then. They didn't have anything. There was no region where we lived. I was in Maryland at the time. There was no, mid-Atlantic region. There was nothing in that area. And so, you fly down, and back in those days, you would fly down and meet with Gary and talk about getting the franchise and stuff. So we ended up doing the franchise. We partnered with some other people who opened up the region for the Maryland, DC region. And then we started buying franchises and growing them over there. So I owned kellerwho.com for 5 years because nobody had ever heard of that company at that time. It was an unknown company over in this area. And nobody heard of me, right? So, I was operating, we opened up in a different area about an hour away from where I lived. So I drove an hour to where the good market was, because we picked it by market, and we wanted to open up, places in good markets to have those businesses. And
how many agents at the time, Dave? How many agents at Keller Williams, Keller Who at the time when you kind of started to grow?
So I remember us hitting 10,000 agents as a company. It was about, it's funny, it was about the same size as eXp was when I came here.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
So
nice.
It took, when I got in there, around 10, 12,000 agents. And when I left, we had hit 100,000 agents. Wow. And so that was, 14, 15 years later. So, but anyway, so we opened up franchises, and we built them. And I learned from this team leader who was really good. His name was Gene Frederick. You guys may have heard of him. So he was my first trainer to learn how to do that and how to build market centers. And thank God for him and Susan, because they taught me a lot about how to do it the right way. And we started building businesses, and he really taught me about how it was pouring into other people and helping them succeed. To put the noise away, to put the flip chart away, to get in relationship with people, and to serve the people that you're in relationship, and the company will grow itself. And thank God for those lessons from them and what their mindset was, because that's what we did. So he was the number one recruiter in the company. I was the number two recruiter in the company. So we had all these years we would chase each other, and you wouldn't find out where the other person ended up until family reunion. And we would go there and we would sit across, I could see each other in the audience, and we would laugh. And I was like, I took you down this year. I took you down. And I never beat him. I never, ever beat him. So we grew, and so I opened up a bunch of market centers. We had a bunch going on there. And then I was asked to take over the company's second largest region, which was Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. The region was not doing great. It was number 26 out of the 30 regions in the company. And was having some growth problems and some profitability problems. So within 2 years, we turned that region around to be number one in the company in growth, and be amongst the top regions in profitability, and kind of blew that up. But at the same time, during that time frame, the company was going through its, as Mark Willis was gone at that point, and we had some other leaders that had come in, and their mindset was different, and it was really about body count and how to make money from the body count. And that just didn't resonate with me, and it made my job a lot less fun. And so I actually quit. I woke up one day and realized I wasn't having fun anymore. I didn't like beating people up over metrics that to me weren't important. Again, back to, I've always had that Zig Ziglar mentality, right? To get what you want, you have to help enough other people get what they want. And that really is, I think, the way to succeed in business and in life in general. So that when that wasn't the mentality anymore, then I didn't like it. I woke up, looked at my wife and said, I'm not having fun. And she said, quit. So when you have your very high S wife tell you that you should just randomly quit, a job that was that paid pretty well, and just walk away into the unknown, that she was seeing it too. And it's a good partnership that way. So, and so I did. I literally that day called the CEO of the company and of Keller Williams, and I quit. And I had my franchises. At that point, I was an owner partner in 11 franchises across 5 states. And I sold some of them right away. And then over time, feeling the same thing as a franchise owner, I sold the rest of them. I bought a bunch of other franchises and other industries, built some other businesses, and did some consulting and was sort of out of it. I consulted with and worked with Long and Foster, a huge firm on the East Coast. You guys probably know them. And I know Fonville Morrissey is down in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
It's part of the company now. I know Rod Eller down there. He's a nice guy.
Yep. Nice guy. Yep.
He is a nice guy. I like him. So I don't know if Caitlin is still down there managing.
That I don't know, but yeah,
Okay.
it's been one of our top 5 companies in here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And slowly they're seeing some attrition now and just some changes, and as the industry changes.
So my non-compete with them just expired, by the way. So gloves are off.
Wow. Watch
Gloves
out.
are
Dave's
off.
coming. Dave's coming to visit.
We're ready to make some phone calls.
Dave's
Let's
coming
go.
to visit.
Let's
That's
go.
right. That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, it was during that time, and I had some, I had a contract in place that Gene reached out to me and said, Dave, I found it. Because when I left, he said, what are you doing? I can't believe you left. And and it wasn't long after he called me and said, I'm out too. That's it. Let's go find something better. And so we promised to, let each other know if we found something cool, and we'd stayed in touch. And then he called me one day and said, I got it. I found the net. Like we've been fortunate. We were, KW had a lot of good things about it in the early days, and we learned a ton, and we worked with some great people. And it was a great community, and there's a lot of good business stuff that we learned, a lot of things that went on really well in the early days. And so we felt fortunate, and of course we got in early, so we were able to make a lot of money, and our market centers were profitable, and then we sold them and all that fun stuff. So that was all good. And we said, okay, what's the next ride? What's the next thing that's going to change the industry? What's the next company that's going to really make an impact and change lives that we can be a part of? Because that was fun. And he said, Dave, I found it. It's a company called eXp. And so I said, great, tell me about it. He said,
and you loved it immediately, right? You saw it immediately.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that was almost 2 years before I actually came to eXp. So, you can just stamp stupid across my forehead. Unbelievable. And I did love the concept, but when he was telling me about it, he said, yeah, it's got 400 agents. And I said, wait, Gene, you and I both owned offices that were bigger than 400 agents. Like, what are you talking about? This is the next thing, and he said, yeah. But when he explained the model, when he explained the platform and everything else, I did immediately see that. I said, man, I did buy stock right away, by the way.
Oh, good for you.
So yeah, so at least I wasn't that dumb.
That's right.
But I did see the model, and I said, man, as a especially as a franchise owner and as someone who managed, I managed 42 franchises, right? I had 7,000 agents in my group. I saw the benefit of the model. I saw how much it made sense, and that's where it was going. As a leader in an office, the hardest thing was getting agents to come into the office, right? To come into the training. And every time we do trainings, people will be like, hey, I can't make it to that, or can you just live stream it? We're already at that point where people were asking to be virtual, not have to come in, and to have better technology that allowed them to do business from anywhere. And they're like, hey, that's not how we operate anymore. And so I had this big, all these big physical spaces with nobody in it, and paying for tons of staff to sit there and babysit an empty shell of an office. And so it was, so it made sense.
Real quick, I want to go back to that point, Dave. That was pre-pandemic. That was you saw the writing on the wall, because agents weren't coming to offices. When was that? When you owned them and you saw the kind of, as people had home offices and were more mobile with their laptops and their phones. What year was that?
So let's see. So I sold my offices in 14, so like 14 and 15. Okay. And then over the next couple of years, as I was working with other large brokerages and that kind of stuff, we were having the same issues, right? How do you, and what are you recruiting to, right? What's the value proposition? Right. Looking at what that is, then it can't be the space anymore. We'll give you a big office. That wasn't something that people really needed. It wasn't a value add. So yeah, that was happening already for sure. So anyway, you guys probably know the rest of the story, but the bottom line is that during that time, he did introduce me to Glenn Sanford, and Glenn and I became friends, and I have a ton of admiration and respect for Glenn. He's a great guy, but man, is that guy smart. And we had a lot of time, since I was more of in a consulting mind space. he would call me at like, 10, 11 o'clock PM East Coast time, because of course Glenn's out in the Pacific Northwest. And we would talk for 2 hours. I would go outside and pace my deck because my family was like all in bed, and I would be outside talking for like 2 hours, just brainstorming, or as he calls it, noodling on, the plan for the company. And back then, this company was a couple thousand agents. And every time he would come to the East Coast, we would get together. I'd go up to New York City and we would hang out and have dinner. And I was there with him when EXP crossed 6,000 agents, and he showed me on his phone when it hit 6,000. We were sitting there. And so those were kind of the early days, and I was just falling in love with the concept. So when my contracts, I had the EXP insomnia, right? Couldn't sleep. I kept thinking it was eating up my mind space. And so as soon as my contract was up, I literally drove away, shaking hands from the end of wrapping everything up, out of state. And I was driving home, and I called Gene and said, "Hey, I'm done. When I get home, I'm signing up." And I joined EXP as an agent. I joined EXP. I believed in the model and where it was going. And I joined it to work, to do the same stuff that Gene was doing, right? To attract agents to the model. I said, this is the model of the future. I have no doubt, after all of this, of the research, the couple of, the year and a half or whatever it was of talking with Glenn and studying the model and kind of figuring out where it could go and stuff. It was a no-brainer that this was the model that was going to change the industry. We weren't in all 50 states yet. And so I signed up. So Glenn calls me the next day and says, "Did you just join EXP?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you." And he said, "Well, I don't have a job for you." And I said, "That's good. I don't want a job. I'm a horrible employee. Trust me, you do not want to hire me. But I'm going to help you grow this company. We're going to have some fun." And he said, "Okay, cool." And then 2 months later, he called and said, "Hey, you want to help lead this thing?" And I was blessed to jump into that role. And I was able to do that for 3 years. And we went from about 10,000 agents to over 70,000 agents. Of course, we grew our leadership team as well. We were able to grow into more countries. Of course, we filled out the US. And then we got Michael Valdez coming in on the team, and we opened up into 18, 19 countries at that time, and got to do a whole lot of fun stuff. Became the #1 independent real estate company in the country. And we uplisted to NASDAQ, right? And did all that, got to go ring the bell and all of those fun things. So it really was an incredible ride and changing a lot of lives. I watched agents become multi-millionaires from the stock that they earned from doing the stuff they do anyway. The lives that were changed. We saw the people making, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of dollars from revenue share. I got to watch that over a 3-year period where people came in and they were so influential and so passionate about the model that they were able to build those things that they do anyway, right? I mean, NAR says 92% of the agents are at the company they're at because they knew somebody there, right? That's how we pick our companies anyway. So we just have a really lucrative model to encourage people to maybe accelerate that a little bit, or at least to recognize the value that agents bring to the growth and health of the company. So do what you do, sell houses, be influential, build good relationships, be nice to people, help other people succeed. When you do all those things along the way, EXP is going to throw some stock at you. And if you're talking to people and building relationships, people will follow you, and then you'll earn some revenue share. And all along the way, you're making that money. So we've had a chance to watch that. I got a chance to do that. Of course, I got in early and with the stock and with some of the revenue share and some of the other things. Felt like I got us to a really good point in the company where we were, very solid. Some good things going on. We had some good opportunities. So I had the chance to do kind of what everybody else gets to do at some point, right? We all say, what do you call a realtor's retirement party? Right? It's a funeral.
You don't. Yeah, they don't retire.
Right? I always tell people, I said, do not let them roll you out toes up from your last open house. That is not the way you want to go out, right? And so, have the alternative, have the ability, sell real estate as long as you want, as long as you're loving it, do it. It's a really cool industry. Like, we're not trying to get people to retire. We're trying to get people to be able to retire, right? Be able to do what you want to do, be able to have a leverage in your life. And while you're still doing other things that you love, be setting yourself up, live a great life. What's that? There's a book called Die with Zero, right?
Yeah, that's a great book.
Yeah. And the concept is not about going out broke. The concept is, don't save everything so that one day you can retire, enjoy life along the way, enjoy the journey. And so, create that opportunity to be able to do it. And EXP brings the freedom. So when we were there at that point, personally, I said, well, hey, I got to take my own advice. And I retired
Yeah.
You can see how well that worked for me.
Yep.
So, I'm 47, and it was, it felt good to retire. I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of fun. And I will go back to retiring before too long. I'm not back here for like another 100 years or anything, but
You were literally retired for like what, 6 months?
yeah, 6 months.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Apparently, I'm also horrible at retiring.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Those are things that I suck at. But
I love it.
but what's great is it did give everybody. I think it gave the company some time to kind of, I mean, we were on such a crazy ride, right? Everything happened so fast. Give the company time to adjust and think about some things about where we really want to go, what we need. We want to do things because it's the way we've always done it. It gave me a chance to breathe and recoup a little bit because we were running pretty hard. It was like 90-hour weeks every week for 3 years. And it gave me some time to kind of think about the path and stuff. And of course, I didn't leave EXP. I mean, I stayed here to do what I came here to do originally, which is grow revenue share and be a part of this and help others succeed on that platform in a different seat on the bus. But we've got a lot of cool stuff going on. The company is like, we're just scratching the surface. There's so much opportunity ahead with EXP right now. And there's so much to do and so much to build. We're still in startup mode. In so many ways as a company, we're still in startup mode, which is a fun place to be. And that's what I thrive on. I thrive on creating things. I'm a really bad manager. Again, another thing that I'm horrible at. Right. It's the maintaining of things. That's not my, I'm not passionate about that. So the building of things is fun. And so, Glenn and Jason came back to me 2 weeks ago and said, hey, we got some things going on and we would love for you to come help us build these things. And they know how to, they know what bait to use when they're fishing for Dave. So to throw out a big challenge and a big opportunity and a chance to go build something and to be a part of that was something. So, my wife and I looked at each other and said, all right, one more time. And so he said, great. They said, this was like on Friday. And they said, so we're all meeting in Arizona on Monday, to do an executive meeting and to do some planning on these things. Can you be there? Like, can you start Monday, basically, which is the same thing he did when he called me back before when I was here as an agent. And he called me on Wednesday and said, hey, we'd like to announce you on Friday at the all agent leadership meeting. Can you start tomorrow? So he did it to me again. And here I am. So I'm pumped to be back and doing that kind of stuff. And so that's my path.
I love it. I love it. Well, I mean, that is a tremendous path. And it's funny because when I was looking at EXP, I couldn't, I saw the concept immediately and went, wow, this is an opportunity for agents to own a little piece of their business, to monetize their brain, right? Because we all have a different level of knowledge, and knowledge is currency. But I still waited and wanted to meet Glenn and do all these things. And then I woke up one day and I went, wait a minute, Dave Conord and Gene Frederick, who were with Keller Williams during the biggest growth period ever, owned all these franchises, owned national regions. If they could sell all that and step away, knowing that there was something broken there, or they didn't see that the path, ahead of them was leading to where they wanted to go, if they could step away and join this company with 1,000 agents, what the heck do me and my 8 agents have to lose, right? I mean, think about it. Like, people come to me all the time now and they'll go, well, I don't know, I have a deal and I don't know if I want to leave my people. And, and they just get so worked up at making a switch. And so can you speak about the back then, the KW days, the Keller Who days? Don't you feel like there's a similarity between how KW was treated, which everybody fails to remember? I was called by KW agents all the time when I was at RE/MAX. And I would say, I'm not coming to your Kool-Aid company. And so speak about that and the similarities, even though I think we're kind of rolling past, the whole, it's a pyramid scheme thing now.
Yeah, right. So it actually cracks me up because, there's so much of a similarity between the two, but what we went through back then, we would say that we weren't on the leading edge, we're on the bleeding edge. I mean, you had to overcome all kinds of things. And we were this weird cult-like company that people just thought we were bizarre. And people, why would your agents spend all their time recruiting? Why don't they spend time selling houses? And, all the criticisms, and the managers would talk trash about us. to their agents and how horrible it is and that we're going to fail. We're going to go out of business when the market turns down. I mean, it was just all the things which really actually cracked me up because, by the time we got up and going, KW had, was now a pretty big company, right? And they're one of the biggest companies in the country, in the world. And I heard them saying the same things about us that people had said, us EXP, that people had said about us KW back in the day. And I was like, they have become one of the old stodgy companies that, that doesn't like the new fresh startup. And I knew, and it's one of those things, you remember the saying, is it Gandhi who said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. And it really is, those are the phases that you go through. And so first they just treat you like you're nothing. And then, then they kind of go, oh, that they're so goofy, they're going to fail. And, they kind of make fun of you. And all of a sudden they realize too late that you're coming from behind and you're coming for them. And that's when they start to fight you. And the next phase after they fight you is that you win. And it's great. We're really in a position of strength. And again, it's not us versus them. I don't hate any companies out there or any of that kind of stuff. And please, like, don't ever talk trash about another company out there. Like if someone wants to, do the internet, social media troll and my dad's cooler than your dad kind of a thing, don't fall into it. All the companies are good and they all bring some value, and there's something for, there's a chair for every rear end, right? And so everybody's got a good place to sit that's right for them, and someone's not dumb because they choose to be somewhere else and not here. It's right for them right now. So it's all good, and we like the other companies. I know there's some stuff out there with like Glenn and Gary, going at it and stuff, but it's mostly just, that's just, that's two competitors out there on the field, leaving it all on the field, right? They're very passionate about what they do and what they offer, and they're out there. It's one of those things. I don't remember there's an old cartoon. I'm going to date myself here, but there's an old cartoon with like it was like a dog and the fox or something or the coyote. I guess the dog and the coyote, right? And they would literally go into the tree and like, they would punch their card and clock in. And then they would fight each other like mad all day because the coyote would try to get the sheep and the dog would try to protect the sheep, and they'd fight each other all day. And they'd be at each other's throats, blowing each other up and doing all that stuff. And then like the whistle would blow at 5 o'clock and they'd walk back out, grab their pails, they'd punch out, and then they'd go have a beer together and laugh. So it's that like competitors do that on the field. You're competing, but there's always a respect for your competitor and that sort of thing. But it really is, and we are, Tina, as you mentioned, we are getting past that. People are starting to realize that this is the real deal. And what my answer back then is the same answer I give now when people ask like, oh, why would I want to recruit, or why do your agents spend all their time recruiting and everything else like that? And I'm like, well, our agents are so passionate about the company and the opportunity here that they want to go out and share it with other people. Why aren't your agents like that? Right? Because, we're focused, you guys know that we use NPS, right? Net Promoter Score. And if you're familiar with Net Promoter Score, it's the same thing you do if you go shopping somewhere, maybe online shopping or any other kind of experience, and you get an email and it asks you to rate your experience or your interaction with the sales rep or whatever it is on a scale of 1 to 10, right? And it says, how likely would you be to refer our business to a friend or family, scale of 1 to 10. And then there's a text box that said, what most influenced your score? And that's it. And that's Net Promoter Score. There's math behind it and a science behind it. And there's different scores for different industries that are typical. And we're blowing away the industry in our Net Promoter Score because we do that. So if you guys get that, please fill it out, because the more responses we get, and we get a very high response rate, but the more responses we get, the better we can know how we're doing. We know you go see a great movie, you go to a great restaurant, right? You typically don't wait for someone to say, have you seen any good movies lately? You're going to go, oh, did you see the new whatever movie? That was awesome. And so you're going to go talk about it. If there's a store with a great sale and all this kind of stuff, you're going to call your friends and say, have you seen the sale going on over here? You got to get over there before everything's gone. So we're going to talk about it like that. And we're going to share that with people. And so we know that the same thing, with my sales group, when I was selling homes, we created a fake survey company and got a PO box. And this was back, we would mail out to our clients a survey on how we did, rating us 1 to 10, and it was from a fictitious survey company, saying that they were a third-party survey company, looking to, rate the services of my sales team, and it had a code number on the top. And so we knew from the code number who it was that filled it out because it was anonymous. But I knew from the code number exactly who it was that was sending it back to me. And it came with a self-addressed stamped envelope, right? And they would circle 1 to 10 and they would write in some notes and everything else like that, fold it back up, stick it in the envelope and mail it to our PO box. And then we would get the surveys and we'd know how we did. And, we never let on that we were doing that or anything. They called me like, oh, why'd you give me a 7? But what we found was that it really took 10, like you could give someone the best service ever. I could be like, we got them exactly what they asked for. I did everything they asked for and everything they wanted. And I got an 8. What the heck, right? I was pissed. Right. and what we learned was you had to find ways to exceed their expectations to get a 10. Like you had to give 10 plus service in order for them to feel like it was a great experience. And when we got a great experience, those people giving us 10s were a million times more likely to refer our business to somebody else. And so it's got to be a 10 plus. You have to wow people in your service and in your relationship and caring about them and their outcome. You have to anticipate ahead of time so they don't have to ask for it. You have to know the business and know your clients so well that you come up with things that they didn't even think of and guide them in a way that they don't even know about to get that. And so we try to do that as a company. And in some ways, in a lot of areas, hopefully, I feel like we're doing really, really well. And I know that there's a lot of areas where we have work to do as a company and we're still startup, right? I hope there are always ways that we have opportunity to improve, because if we ever get to the best that we can be, we're kind of screwed because you've got nowhere to go but down at that point. So we always want to be able to improve, but the NPS score and your responses help us know where those spots are. So we get a lot of times where people give us a 10 and they say, it's awesome, I love it here. It would be great if. And we get some really cool ideas out of that, even when people are happy. So please, I promise you, like it doesn't go into cyberspace. Like, yeah, I click on this and do whatever. We use a software called Ask Nicely, and it sorts all of the responses that we get and breaks it down by keyword, multiple keywords, if there's multiple in there. And then that goes to the executive team, sees it is anonymous. It is actually anonymous, I promise you.
Now we know the truth. Yeah. Now we know the truth. We all have a number on us. That Tina Caul gave us a 7.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it.
We now have to talk to you about your response.
That's right.
So, yeah, but we get feedback, and it not only goes to the executive team, but it goes to all of the departments. So if the keywords, code into certain departments, each department has its own NPS score. We know how our onboarding team and our broker team and our growth team, and we know how all our tech team, accounting team, we know how all of them are doing and what the recommendations are and everything else for each one of those departments. And we literally look at it every week and go through and track our score and to see how we're doing, because we know the growth of the company. I mean, it's, I will say that I have the easiest job on the planet. My job's to grow EXP, right? And this company, it's like, Honda was the car that sells itself. Well, EXP is the company that grows itself because the agents do the work. You guys are out there growing the company. My job is to listen really well and then to interpret what you're saying, because I understand agents and I understand brokerage. So my job is to listen and interpret and to bring that back to our teams and to make sure that we are providing what you want, but also to anticipate. And hopefully we also provide some things that you go, oh, wow, that's pretty cool that they do that. I hadn't even thought about that. Or, that's great that they do this. We didn't even ask for it.
And I got to say, speaking about that you guys actually listen. The one thing that I can say after 21 years in the business, being with Remax, I never met Dave Liniger, even going to R4s, KW. I was in Gary's top 100 for a small hot minute, and then I left. I never met Gary Keller. He never called when I joined the company, but he did make a phone call when we were leaving the company, right? And so, yeah, but the thing is, what I noticed the difference is there's access. And from the time I've been here for 33 months, I have talked to Glenn, mingled with Glenn. He's talked about changing the logos. Like, he actually listens, and he's so accessible. It's wild, the fact that I know everybody in leadership. We hang out together as a family at reunions. It's not like, no, that's the president. He's in that room. He's just untouchable. You can't meet Dave. I mean, Dave is sitting at the bar with everybody else at the end of the events. Well, not drinking. He's having a tea. But the point is, we're a
Sparkling
family.
water with lime.
Yeah. And you know what you feel like? You feel like a bunch of owners, because we all take this company and the people that are serious about it, we feel like owners, and we're mingling with the other, with the other middle management. And it's kind of cool, to middle management to upper management to the founder. And I think that says a lot about the company, that there is no ego there. I mean, are there people with egos? I'm sure, but I think it leads with Glenn, that he's a humble leader, and then that's his tribe, and you can feel that here. You can.
I brought a new agent new to the industry, new to everything, new to EXP, hadn't sold a thing yet, to the Puerto Rico mastermind. Right, we went to Puerto Rico, and Glenn was there, and he came in a couple of days early because he knew other people would be there, and he wanted to meet people. He ran into Glenn, and he was a cross-country runner, and Glenn's a runner. He bumps into Glenn one morning, and Glenn's like, "Hey, you going for a run? You want to run with me?" So the two of them go run together. And at the end of the morning, Glenn's like, "Hey, want to meet again tomorrow?" So he's like, "Sure." So they're running, and at the end of the run, Glenn pulls out his phone. And he says, "Hey, can I get a selfie with you?" Glenn takes a selfie with him, and he reaches out to me, and he's like, "So, I'm brand new, and the founder of the company spent time, and I mean, they talked family, they talked personal stuff, they talked business. Glenn gave him advice, they laughed, they took selfies, and he was just like, where else would this happen?" And I've never been at another company where where it was like that. And it really does speak, and the leadership starts at the top. It's with Glenn's mentality. There's no ivory tower. We're all we all realize and recognize that we're normal, we're normal people. We just, we're in a spot where it really is truly a servant leadership mentality. I mean, our job is to impact the lives of others, right? And help other people and serve other people. And we're really blessed to be able to do that every day. And that really is the mindset. There's an old, the traditional mindset in real estate is really an us versus them, with the kind of the broker on the other side of the table, and brokers say agents make too much money. The agents think the broker takes too much money, and nobody's happy. And you don't have that here. The leadership in the company and all the staff there, we talk about being agent success obsessed. And it really, there's a mindset of loving the fact. And we tell people, when I hire people, I'm like, if you aren't passionate about helping others and seeing others succeed at a high level, you're not going to fit in here. You're not a good fit for us. So everyone on staff has to have that mentality. And if we make a mistake in hiring, and there's someone that doesn't have that mindset, they don't last very long. I mean, you stick out like a sore thumb if you complain. I've been in a meeting where someone's like, these agents, blah, 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 all that other kind of stuff. And I'm like, let's have a meeting. I'm going to meet with that person. And if they're just having a bad day, that's fine. But if that's that's actually their mindset, they're gone. Like literally that day. They don't even have to clean out their desk. I just turn off their access. It's really easy. Yeah, eject. That's exactly right. The floor opens up.
Their avatar. You get rid of their avatar, right? So let's just talk about real quick and pivot so our company. I read a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy. I don't know if you've read that yet. It's a great book, and it talks about basically that, for 130 years now, if we're looking at real estate and the innovation in real estate, for 130 years, we've kind of done it the same way. The traditional brick and mortar, Keller Williams was sort of like, wow. And I loved Keller when I was there. I loved RE/MAX when I was there. I came here for a different opportunity for me, but it shows that all of these companies are swimming in the red ocean. There's blood in the water, and they're all kind of trying to lower their commission splits and just figure out how to sustain in that old model. And we're sort of over here in this blue ocean. We don't really have a competitor. It's going to be years before another company even copies us, and there's some copycats out there, right? Anyone can say we're a virtual company. So what is it next for EXP? Because a lot of people say, oh, it's just too late, Dave. It's everybody's at EXP, which is ridiculous. Now, I think Glenn said this, 1 in 26 agents in the US are at eXp Realty. We just opened 19 countries, and we have a small handful of agents in each country. So every country has the opportunity to do this. Where are we in 5 years? And in our blue ocean, when do you think that next, let's just say, copycat EXP is coming to where we're going to start bad mouthing the other company and saying, oh, you don't want to go to ABC because they're nothing like us.
They're all about recruiting.
What do you think about that? Yeah.
All right, good questions. So I would say number one, we've thrown out the we've thrown down the gauntlet, right? And we've said that we're going for 500,000 agents in 5 years. And if I always bet on Glenn's math. I got to tell you, I would not bet against him. He is crazy smart when it comes to that kind of stuff. And he sat down with me, and because we're throwing that out there, but I'm like, we're going to be, all the agents, right? I just let's get everybody, right? I don't say, no, I don't want all the agents. I just want all the good ones. But Glenn, he's much more methodical about it, and he pulls out his calculator and he's like, well, based on my calculations, on our current path, and I don't know if he uses physics or or what, but I skipped that class as often as I could.
Exactly, me too.
And he's calculating stuff and using like sine and cosine, and he comes out and he's like, all right, he's like, on our current path, even if nothing changes, we will hit 500,000 agents in 5 years. He's looking at the multiplier effect and looking whatever, not if this happens or if that happens, just basically, if we just keep rolling the way we're rolling, we're going to hit 500,000. And so it's like, okay, well, heck, now maybe we should be thinking about 750, because if we keep doing, I don't want to keep doing, I love what we're doing, but I don't want to keep doing what we're doing for the next 5 years. I want to stomp on the gas pedal a little bit, right? So, so $500,000 to me is almost, we have to screw up. 500,000 is ours to lose in the next 5 years. We have to mess up to not hit it. And I'm not saying we can't mess up, right? I don't want to get cocky. We can mess up. We can make missteps. So we got to stay smart. We have to stay true to who we are and stay on mission, not get distracted. You guys have seen the Michael Phelps, it was Thorpe, right? Was it Ian Thorpe and Michael Phelps, and they're swimming, and they say, losers focus on winners and winners focus on winning. And so we're not looking, people ask about competition. And like you said, we don't have, people say, well, what about the competition? I'm like, who? Show me competition. We're not competing with anyone. And if you guys, the other one is Power versus Force. I know that's another good book. So check out Power versus Force. But if you take your hands and you go do this and you push against each other and you're pushing like that. Well, if you take the pressure away from one hand, there's no conflict anymore. If one person takes away the pressure, it takes two people pushing to have that conflict. So, and that's where this is force, but the power is in deciding where you're going to put your effort and your energy and what you're going to pay attention to and listen to and where you're going to focus. And so we're focused on being better. We're focused on growing. We're focused on serving our agents and being agile. And so one thing you can count on is, I guess two things I should say you can count on is both constant change and yet constant reliance on the foundation of the company, right? Which is, or being a real estate company. We're never going to say we're a tech company or a training company or an anything else company. We're a real estate company. And so we have tech companies, we own tech companies, but we are not, eXp Realty is a real estate company first and foremost and always. And so focusing on providing a great place for agents to do business, to build a really strong business, to serve their clients, give great technology support, training, collaboration, all of those things, right? So we focused on that. That'll never change, but all the other stuff is going to keep changing, right? And so just don't get caught up in oh, now they're changing that. Well, if we're doing it, just rely on the fact that, someone in leadership is constantly running ahead as a scout and figuring out where we're going as an industry and making sure that you always have what you need to be able to work with the industry's changing needs, your clients' changing needs, your changing needs, the world's changing, all that kind of stuff. And so keep doing that. So from a growth standpoint, if 500,000 is where we're going to be in 5 years, then that means in the next 12 months, more agents will join the company than have joined the company in the last 12 years. Right? The opportunity is bigger ahead than the cumulative opportunity that we've had so far. All right. So you look at people like Tina, you're in a great spot. You have a huge group. You've got a great revenue share. And then we look up to people like the Brent Goves and the Gene Fredericks and that kind of stuff, just like mind-blowing numbers that they have from the groups. And they have got 18,000 people in their organization that they've grown. But that's peanuts. They did that going from 400 to 70,000. Well, what about 70,000 to 200,000? It's a lot more agents. The opportunity ahead, all those people, yeah, okay, great, Gene. And then, but the bad news for Gene and Brent is those people are going to be in like levels 12 for them. They don't get paid on that.
Yeah, exactly.
You're starting somewhere, right? And it's always from where you are. You've got a spot in the overall org chart of the company growth, but from wherever you are is an opportunity for that to spread. And the best way that I've thought of to describe this is because it comes out of relationships and conversations. And so I think of it like you're walking along a snowy mountain ledge, right? You're at the peak and it's got this ledge you're walking along and there's a bunch of snowballs lined up there on the ledge. And you're nudging the snow as you walk by, you're nudging the snowballs off the ledge. Some of those snowballs are going to roll down like a foot. Some are going to roll down 5 feet. Some are going to roll down 20 feet. And some are going to go, a couple hundred yards, and some are going to go for miles. And as they roll, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. They're house size, and you can't stop them. If you wanted to, they'd run you over, right? And you don't know with each snowball that you nudge off the ledge, right? I mean, when Carrie Lucchese brought on Elizabeth Riley, right? Elizabeth Riley is a great producing agent, 7-time icon at eXp, but she wasn't really interested in revenue share and attracting agents. But she did have this one friend named Gene. Yeah. Right. And so you never know, that snowball rolled really far and it's still rolling. And
for those that don't know, because we have a lot of new agents with us too. Elizabeth Riley was just an awesome agent. Like he said, and Gene Frederick is the guy that we call him Godfather Gene. He's one of the guys that started Keller Williams with Gary, agent number 34 or something, and had the 7 regions and had that. So Elizabeth, because of Gene, has 8,000 people in her group now. Because Gene took that, he was the snowball that ran with it. And
she just hit 10.
Oh, she had 10,000. Yeah. So the thing is, what I love about this is when I look at the people in the room and, because we have 20 people in the room and then 30 people on Zoom, is that we all get to start at the same level. It's not, I own the brokerage. Right. You guys are the agents. No, we all own the brokerage. And I try to tell them, this is like the biggest opportunity for an entrepreneur. We come into this business because we want to be, manage our own business. We want to be owners. We want all those things. And this is the first time ever in history of real estate that you get to come in at the same level, right? I mean, yes, you don't have 10,000 people in your group, but you didn't do the work to get to the 10,000 people. So, and put in the time. Elizabeth Riley's been here how many years now? 8, 7-ish? Yeah. I've been here 3. I got in when there were 16,000 people at the company. And, and I had to, at first I would get very annoyed when people would put bad things about our company online, and I would defend it and defend it and defend it. And then I just gave up and said, you know what, I'm just going to show you all. We're going to show you that we're leaders in the community, that we can grow this thing. So I always took it as, I own a brokerage. This is how I want to run it. And I love that because we all have massive opportunity to help each other grow this company to 500,000 agents, which will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the most level playing field. Everybody here is an agent, right? We don't have franchise owners, market, office owners, broker owners, managers, regional owners. There's none of that. It is, you've got a very small leadership team, group of, support team to support you in your business, from the executive group. And that really, think of that as like the plate, that's the platter, right? That is just sits there to help, provide a platform for you guys to go build business. Everybody else is an agent, right? I mean, the whole rest of the company, you got a very small support group that provides the stuff for you guys to go operate. And then you guys get to go do what you want to do on the platform. And it's a huge opportunity that anybody can take advantage of. And I definitely, if you're here and you're not, you don't have to start sharpening up your recruiting presentation and that kind of stuff like that. But I really both encourage you and ask you to take advantage of it. You will thank yourself later, but it doesn't have to be, it can be a little bit mind numbing to think about people like Brent and Gene who make almost $1 million a month. I mean, they're over $800,000 a month from revenue share alone. And so it's sort of like, well, that's not really, they spend all their time doing that kind of stuff. That's fine. Put that aside.
When I got here, Brent was only making $175,000 a month. And now he's at
that poor
33
guy.
months later. That poor guy. And I thought 175 was huge, at the time. Struggling realtor,
150,000 a month.
Yeah.
But I donated to his charity, his GoFundMe to help him at that point.
Good.
But think about it this way. My parents are retired, and I was talking to my dad a little while back, and we were talking about the revenue share stuff and everything else. And and they did well. They've got a great house down in Florida, but they're still fairly young and they're in great shape. And my grandfather is still alive. He's 96. He just turned 96. He played golf. He played golf until he was 94 years old, 3 times a week. He walked 18 holes 3 times a week till he was 85. So, so my dad's like, well, I could live a really long time potentially, right? I got good genes. Who knows? So how much money do you need to retire on? Right? How long are you gonna last and be able to and want to be able to do stuff and not sitting in a bed or whatever. I want to go live life and have fun. And he said, we've got money, but we're living on a fixed income. You live off your 4%, and you guys hopefully have seen some of the math of what you need to have saved to live off of your 4% return and maybe some social security or something like that. And what does that look like? And he said, $2,000 a month in passive recurring income would be life-changing, because they have the money they need to pay their bills and do all that other kind of stuff, but they're afraid to go on any extravagant vacations or go do the stuff they really want to do. And they've got grandkids all over, and they want to fly around and be at all the things, but they're like, well, can we afford? When you have to stop to think about, can I afford this? Right? Then, that's putting barriers up. And when your finances restrict your life, right, that sucks. And that's really when people think about like earning money and how much money do I want to earn? I think, well, I don't want to have to think about money. Right. And that means, I had a friend's kid, who's passionate about raising funds to fight leukemia. And he's trying to do all this stuff to raise leukemia. And so, he called me last night and I was talking to him. He's an awesome kid. He's in high school, really trying to change the world out there. And it's like, do you want to have to think about like, well, how much can I give you? I gave some to the Fraternal Order of Police last month. And, it's like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be able to do, for your life? And so like having that passive income coming in where, it's like, hey, $2,000 a month, like we could go to Europe every quarter, right? Once a quarter, we could go to France. We could fly over for dinner. So, if you want to be able to do, whether it's, giving back, taking care of your family, like, we're thinking, kids' lives are kind of paid for. We're looking at like, how do we pay for our grandkids' college? So my kids don't have to worry about that, setting up trusts and doing all those kinds of things. Those are things that you can do, and you can plan for that based on this opportunity. And so that's why I say take advantage of the whole opportunity. You don't have to start off thinking about making $100,000 or $1 million a month. Think about making a couple $1,000s a month and what you would do with that and how you would use it. I promise you, once you knock the snowball off the ledge, you don't have to do a whole lot. Some of them are going to roll on your own. And Tina, I forget, who was your sponsor? It's Michelle Sword, right?
Michelle Sayward. Yep.
Sayward. Yeah. I was pronouncing her name wrong. I've known her forever. I still say it wrong. So Michelle, she didn't know. She probably hoped because of, your influential, leader in the industry, but, she didn't know whether you were going to come over and ever bring anybody on or not. Right. She doesn't know. And so, that like when you never know. And I'm sure if you go up through her lines of people, there are people up there that, aren't selling a lot of real estate, aren't super influential, right? There's people in the group that are just, they're here, they sell a couple of houses. They're great people. We love that they're here with us, but they're not super plugged in or engaged, but they knew somebody, or they're related to somebody, or someone, whatever it is. And you never know when you knock that snowball off the ledge, what happens from there. And it's pretty amazing. So that all comes from, same thing with your real estate sales business. It comes from conversations. It comes from relationships. And if your focus is on helping others succeed, find ways to help other people succeed. Be interested in where they're trying to go and what's important to them, and invite them into the opportunity here to this platform to go build that success. And if that's your focus and not on trying to create revenue share and everything else, the rest will follow. And it's pretty cool. It goes back to the Zig Ziglar mentality.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm going to task our group for, in the next 3 months, I think that if each person in our group were to invite a few agents and bring an agent over to the company, we would double our group in 3 months. And so for me, I'm passionate about the company. I know what it's done for my personal business, right? My Caul group personal business. I know what it's done for all of the, the people that took advantage of it. And so thank you for leading the ship and coming back out of retirement, out of your 6-month retirement, to help inspire us and grow the company. And you guys have all the things that you do back there. So thank you. And thank you for spending an hour with us, and helping inspire us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And Kevin said to stack him up with appointments. He'll do all of the recruiting.
He will do all the recruiting appointments. Yeah, he's recruited a couple of people on accident. On accident.
I believe it.
On accident.
We know.
On accident.
He's really the secret sauce. We know.
Are you going to be in Cabo, Dave? You're going to be in Cabo, and Kristen.
I will, absolutely. Kristen and I will both be in Cabo. We're looking forward to hanging with everybody there. Come find us. Come hang out. We'll do dinner or whatever. We're there to have fun.
We'll see you in 9 days.
Water.
Yes.
That's
yes.
right. That's right.
Absolutely.
Sparkling water in Cabo. That's it. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Dave, for being here, and we'll see you in a week or so.
That sounds good. Looking forward to it. Maybe we'll get on a boat together this time.
Yeah, well, we'll show you everybody else in the room. Say bye to Dave.
Awesome. Hey, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Great job out there.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you, Dave.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.